Union Development Officer. The Union Development Officer leads on events and activities in on-campus venues, guides the union's sustainable practices, fundraising and volunteering, and aims to enhance the vibrancy of the student community. They are also responsible for student nights out. Key responsibilities include developing fundraising opportunities, collaborating with the York SU events team, and improving sustainability within the union.
Hi, I'm Alice with URY, and I am joined live in the studio with Joe Venables, who is running for Union Development Officer.
Hello.
How are you, Joe?
I'm great, thank you. It's really nice to be here.
Nice to have you here. So we're going to start off with your manifesto.
Yeah.
So you mentioned having worked multiple jobs in multiple venues for the student union.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on the various roles you've held and explain how the skills and experience you've gained from these positions will prepare you for Union Development Officer?
Yeah, so this year I've been working in the courtyard, in both the bar and the kitchen. So I've really been seeing the inner workings of commercial services and all the pitfalls of it. And I also I work as an events host in V-Bar for the open mic night with my amazing campaign manager Lauren, who is we've managed the V-Fest events, which people really liked, and seeing what the union is capable of when it has that extra bit of funding, that extra bit of help from right at the top, because the managers obviously want their venues to be as good as possible, so they're constantly trying to make it good, but there's a real problem with the lack of willing to fund events, and that's what I've been seeing this year. That's something I'd really like to change.
You say your first pledge is to make the bars safe for students.
Absolutely.
And you also said you'll make sure the staff get proper training to keep people safe. Obviously,
Yes.
as a member of staff, how would you change the training from online training?
We need real in-person training. We need to go through real scenarios of things that actually happen. Safeguarding should be a number one priority in most things, and a students' union venue especially. And there's just not kind of the knowledge there of what should be done in various situations, which is really dangerous.
Yeah, of course. And you also say that you will ensure that all of the on-campus bars provide free, reusable, anti-spiking. So I did have a look on the website, and they say they already do that.
They do, and I did notice them today. However, I've not been seeing them all year. I'm in the bars constantly. I work there. I go there to enjoy it. But it's something that really needs to be pushed. But also, those are single use. And that is, again, a part of the big waste problem that unions have. There's so much single-use stuff just goes in, general waste, gets sent straight to landfill. And I think having something reusable, not only so it's better for the environment, but also you could take it into town with you. I feel like at the moment, students are kind of quite scared of what's going on in town. I think there's a real lack of care from the union as to what's happening. But I think equipping students with, things like that so they can go into town and just feel that bit safer would be huge.
And you spoke of the waste issue.
Yeah.
In your manifesto, you talk about how you want to get rid of the pizzas and the waste that comes with them.
No, it's the way the pizzas are presented comes on this unrecyclable waxed paper. It just goes into general rubbish, and you think about just day after day it's getting done again and again. You end up with just mountains that it's going into landfill, and that's not we can't pretend to be a sustainable university or sustainable union if that's the kind of carelessness for the environment that we're taking.
And what would you propose to do to change that?
Well, things already come on plates. They already come on trays. Those plates and trays, they get washed. They obviously have to. There's no reason that it can't just be kept simple. Just forget about showing off the branding. That's not a thing that really matters to students. But what does matter is being able to have good, cheap food and knowing that, it's not harming the planet.
And in the same vein of sustainability, you talk of funding and where the funding's coming from. specifically like Nestle.
Well, it's money that we, the university, is investing in these companies. Just, again, corporate ties have been a big topic of this election,
Yes.
and it's just more examples of that. The university is just... And the thing is, it's not like there's other investments the university could be making, which would produce money, would be much greener,
You
cleaner.
did mention finding greener alternatives. Have
Yeah.
you got any that you can name, or would that be something that
No,
comes
it's
about when
something.
you become...
Yeah, it's something that needs to be discussed with the university. But
Yeah.
what we need is, a sabbatical officer who will confront not just the university but also the union
Yes.
about what needs to be changed.
And high prices is another point.
It is, absolutely.
which runs throughout your manifesto.
Yeah.
So you talk of the lounge and the £6.50
Yeah.
pool games.
I mean, there's a reason most people haven't heard of the lounge, don't know what it is, because it's not, there's within the union, there's this lack of willing to invest in things. And if you're not investing, you're not making a profit. We end up with this doom loop where we're asking high prices for students. It decreases how much students are spending because they don't want to spend that much. The Charles is only down the road and that's cheaper. There are places to go for a cheaper night out. And the purpose of the students' union to provide that cheap, easy night out is just being eroded under this attitude.
Yeah, you say, and I quote, "I will fight to drive down the prices of these games as low as I possibly can, right down to being free."
Absolutely.
How do you propose you would point that out to the union? What do you think you could do which would convince them to drive down those prices?
The thing is, you have to aim high, and that's not really something that seems to be happening at the moment. There's a lot of complicity, and we need to fight for the absolute best we can get. And whether it will go down to zero, I can't say, but we need to try. And there's with all prices, when it comes to lowering them, keeping money in students' pockets. Someone needs to fight that fight.
Yeah, of course. And as well as bringing down prices, you also want to put some more money in, and you want to fund events specifically at the Vanbrugh Arms.
Absolutely. So I think what we've seen with VFest, hosting it and seeing it kind of flourish, there's this huge demand for seeing bands on campus.
Yes.
And, you put a bit of, that was just extra staffing cost. There's no investment into equipment. So the equipment, I think people remember at VFest 2 when Bin Bag were doing an amazing set, but the microphone kept cutting out and it hurts the experience for everyone. But if we can provide really good events, people will spend money there because they want to.
I know you've personally campaigned for some money for some of these events before. How did that turn out?
Students want it. Obviously, students want better events. Staff, that's, me and Lauren as hosts, and also staff behind the bar, and that includes managers. They all want to see the venues flourish. But
so how would you propose they get the extra money?
It needs to be a change of attitude, and that is not going to happen without someone just constantly making the argument, making commercial services listen, because any kind of investment, it just hits a brick wall and it stops there.
Of course. And to end on a final note, how would you summarise your entire manifesto?
I think it
in one sentence or one couple of sentences.
I think what it all comes down to is we're spending so much, and not just with prices in venues, but also tuition fees. We're spending a lot, and what do we have to show for it? Not much. So my sentence would be, go with Joe and get what you pay for.
Of course. Thank you so much for speaking to me.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.
I think next we're going to head to the green room.
Okay.
But this was really nice. Thank you.
Thank you.